So once again, thank you very much. That's quite a list of great legends in Mississippi and Alabama. We have been so blessed through the years, and it's my distinct privilege and honor today to present the 2024 legend, Dr. John Morrison. I can't tell you how tickled I was when I got the call from the Mississippi section, and more specifically from the Morrison family, asking me to do this presentation today. It's just quite an honor, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate being able to do this. Dr. Morrison was born, actually he was called Johnny, and that was spelled Johny. I'm not sure if that was a reflection of the Kentucky or Tennessee upbringing, but a little bit different spelling of Johnny. But Johnny was born on September 11th, 1943. I find that kind of ironic in the sense that that's obviously a very important date in world and United States history, but I do want to point out that Johnny Morrison had that date first. Mayville, Kentucky, now is a town of about 10,000. I could go back as far as 1990, and it was 10,000 then, so I'm going to assume in 1943, probably somewhere around that time, extreme western Kentucky, probably the metropolis in that area. The family actually lived, and Johnny grew up around the little small town of Hickman, Kentucky, some Fulton County, once again a Mississippi River county that is in extreme western Kentucky. Hickman was a town of about 2,400. The county had about 6,000 people there. Picture there on your left of Johnny with his dad Bill. Some of Dr. Morrison's notes that he was actually scraping the icing off a birthday cake. He said on that picture on the right that he got a spanking for leaving the tricycle in the middle of the street. Johnny's grandfather, both grandfathers were general practitioners in Fulton County. With his paternal grandfather, for whom Dr. Morrison was named, he often made rounds in the county doing house calls, and did that up to the time he was about 11 years old. Both of his grandfathers graduated from Vanderbilt. His dad went to Vanderbilt for about a year. I'm assuming there on the picture on the left, they thought Johnny would be a Vanderbilt graduate one day, but that didn't quite work out. In the middle picture there, you can tell that he was kind of a man about town, even at a very, very young age. This picture I found particularly interesting here. This is at Christmas time, as you can see. You see Johnny pointing the gun there with his sister Marilyn in the background. I'm thinking if that picture circulated on social media today, you could probably get a visit from the Justice Department or Homeland Security or something like that. He did say in his notes that that picture was taken about the same time that he was regularly following the neighborhood sprayer around the neighborhood, so I'm not sure if that had any effect on that at all. The family moved from Hickman, Kentucky to the little small town in Tennessee, also in extreme West Tennessee of Tiptonville. He spent most of his grade school years there. There you can see Johnny, the oldest of 5 children. Actually, I'm going to make an admission to the family. When I cropped this picture, I thought I was cropping the 5 children there, and I actually cropped Marilyn out. So Sister Marilyn is there on the left. As you say, she's been cropped out, and the 3 brothers, Shelton, David, and Bill, are there in Johnny's lap, and that's one of the neighborhood children there in the bottom right-hand corner. Johnny's there with his friend Clayton, who was a childhood friend of his. He said they got into a lot of mischief together, and especially when they vandalized one of the local churches, they knew that they would kind of be friends for life. But that too is just some of Dr. Morrison's notes from his childhood. The family moved from the Tiptonville area to the Memphis area community around the Raleigh area of Memphis, if you're familiar with that. He graduated from Bartlett High School. During high school, this is kind of one of the stories that I found quite interesting, that he was picked to be Teenager of the Week. And in his notes, he said there were actually 44 Teenagers of the Week, and he unfortunately didn't get Teenager of the Year. But the story that got him Teenager of the Week involved, at least the story says, that he and his brother Bill were policing the grounds around their homes, picking up trash and kind of cleaning up the area, and a thoughtless throw of a syrup bottle against a tree caused that bottle to shatter. Some of the shards landed in Brother Bill's abdomen, and he had to be rushed to Laverne Hospital, where he stayed for 3 days for surgical correction of that injury. From that, Johnny had to stay home and take care of the 3 younger children, including cooking, cleaning, ironing his sister's dresses, and for that noble gesture that then Johnny did, he was picked Teenager of the Week. Johnny's side of the story is that he was told to go out and empty the trash, and in revolt and not wanting to do that, instead of somebody thoughtlessly throwing the syrup bottles, he intentionally threw the syrup bottles against the tree, which injured his brother. And the reason he took care of the younger children was not because of his benevolence, but because of fear of what his parents would do if he didn't take care of them. So different stories, different times, but he was always proud that he was the Teenager of the Week. He went to Memphis State University, where he graduated in 1965. He finished his MD degree at UT Memphis in 1968, and then finished his residency there in 1972. He stayed on faculty at the University of Tennessee UT Health Center for Health Sciences for a year before going to Stuttgart, Germany, where he was an Army officer there at the 5th General Hospital. He then returned to UT from 1975 to 1979, where he was on faculty, and then joined the faculty at the University of Mississippi in 1979, where he completed his 40-year career. If we go left to right there, that's a picture of Johnny, his brothers there in the middle, his sister-in-law before he went to Germany. A picture of him as now Dr. Morrison, who came back with his 2 small children. That's the first Easter back when they returned from Germany. And there on the far right, you can see Dr. Morrison and his wife Rita during their times at UT Memphis. So the legend includes that he served on the faculty at the University of Mississippi Medical Center for 40 years during a 50-year medical career. He was director of the Division of Maternal Fetal Medicine from 79 to 91, vice chair of the department from 1991 to 1995. He was chair of the department from 95 to 2002. He pioneered methods for the care of women with diabetes, preterm birth, sickle cell disease, and hypertension. He authored more than 550 peer-reviewed articles, 106 textbook chapters, and 5 books. Interestingly enough, you probably know that ACOG approved fellowships in REI, MFM, and GYN oncology in 1972. You'll see absent from there, Dr. Morrison did not do a fellowship, but he got certification through ACOG. And interestingly enough, I remember in a conversation with him, he said it was really hard to decide whether to do GYN oncology or MFM. He said, in fact, at one time he thought about doing both. Which we find kind of different, but his draw was to obstetrics and to the care of pregnant women, which made him go the MFM route. He was a member of the board of directors of 7 professional organizations. He was the president of several organizations, as you see listed there. He was an examiner for ACOG. He kept training more than 200 residents at UT Memphis and at UNMC. Trained over 50 fellows. He received several awards, the Beaumont Award from the AMA, which is given to young investigators. He received 2 distinguished professorships from the University of Mississippi, the Barnard Distinguished Professorship and the Blake Guidance Distinguished Professorship. And this is the legend. I mean, these are the things that you can read out there on the marquee, and I could certainly stop there, and I think that would be enough. But really, there's much more to the legend, things that aren't on the marquee, but I think need to be memorialized as part of who this gentleman was. So, first of all, Dr. Morrison was the energizer of the bunny. He was a consummate people person. He never met a stranger. He always had a smile on his face. He worked harder than, I don't know why this keeps advancing. He works harder than worked harder than anybody that you have ever seen. We talk about 80-hour work weeks now. Every day he got up with the idea that he had a 24-hour opportunity and a 168-hour work week. That was just the way he was made. He once told a faculty member that if a paper is rejected, it should never sit on your desk more than a day. Don't get your feelings hurt. Don't be disappointed. Rework that paper and get it back in the mail. In those days, in the mail to another organization, to another journal, to get that paper published. He was an athlete. One of the things I didn't talk to you about when he was in high school was that before he moved to Memphis, he was known as Tipton Mill Johnny. And his note said that he actually had more hair than height when he was in junior high, but he could make shots from a long ways away. Certainly back in those days, there was no three-point line, but he certainly had a propensity for making long shots. He went on to play high school ball at Bartlett High School, where his team went to the state championships for all 3 years that he was there. He walked on at Memphis State and actually, thought he was going to have a career in basketball until his dad told him that was not going to be his career, and he needed to go back to school, concentrate on that, and get jobs in more useful venues. He fast forwarded that to a career in intramural sports at UMMC. I remember very well when Brian Cowan came to the university in 1983 that he fashioned himself as kind of an athlete too, and oftentimes was the self-appointed player coach of intramural teams. And all the plays he drew up had to do with throwing the ball to Dr. Cowan in the post position under the goal. And that worked very well until Dr. Morrison got the ball and would jack one up from 25 feet, most of the time miss, but he's laughing, going back down the court. Dr. Cowan scowled and his play did not work very well. All right, the perpetual tan. Those that knew Dr. Morrison knew whether it was July or January, he had a tan. We called him Captain Tan. I'm told the family oftentimes called him Dr. Tan. I just assumed that this tan was due to some ethnic heritage, perhaps some Mediterranean background in the life. I'm told that that's not true, that he was Scotch-Irish, and that he prided himself on working on his tan. And like I said, he worked on this year-round, and wherever you saw him, oftentimes down here in Gulf Shores, just down the beach a little ways, he was always the man with the perpetual tan. The ponytail. So, I would ask you all just philosophically, why would a grown man in this position grow a ponytail? Now, remember, this is the 1980s and 1990s, and growing a ponytail was scandalous. I can remember like it was yesterday when people would ask, have you seen Morrison? Well, no, what's up? He's grown a ponytail. In fact, Wally Connerly, one of the associate vice chancellors, told Dr. Weiser once upon a time that he saw the ponytail and said, you better get your boy under control. Another time, he showed up in a little conservative venue in North Mississippi to testify in a case. The defense lawyer hadn't seen him in a while, and he shows up with his ponytail, and he said, John, what are you thinking about? And the jury's never going to take you seriously with that ponytail. John said, I'll just tuck it in my collar and testify, and everything went on just fine. The party. I wondered what to label this slide, the party animal, or, the guy likes a party, or whatever, but just simply the party. He loved to party. He no matter, where it was, he just like I said, he was a people person, he loved to party. He was famous for the Gator dance move, on the dance floor. I once had one of the spouses at one of the parties walk off and said, somebody was gatoring out there and somebody bit me on the ankle. Now, I'm not sure if that was Dr. Morrison, because there were certainly other people gatoring, but like I said, that was one of his favorite moves. His Halloween parties were legendary. If you ask anybody in that area about his Halloween parties, they were legendary. I asked, why Halloween? Simply because he liked Halloween. That's the reason. But I think it was Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, whatever. I think just any excuse to have a party would have fit well with Dr. Morrison. The Scotch legend. This kind of goes hand in hand with the party motif. Scotch is South Central Overjoying Society. I know there are several people from Alabama who have been members of this society and are current members of this. This is the 14 kind of southeast United States states. Historically, there have been 6 members from each state, so roughly about 85 to 90 members of this organization. Dr. Morrison loved this organization, absolutely loved it. He knew all 84 people by name, he knew their families, he knew their children, and he knew how to party. And as you can see here, they have a formal, Saturday night before the end of the meeting each year, and it wasn't simple enough for him just to wear a tux to that formal. He had to dress it up in some sort of way, whether it be braiding his hair or wearing a special white shirt, or the picture on your right, I'm told, was from the meeting in Bermuda. So what else do you wear to formal besides Bermuda shorts? The expert witness. Back in the 1980s, 1990s, Mississippi was a judicial hellhole, and especially with obstetrical cases. And Dr. Morrison was a classic defense expert. He leveled the playing field. He got a lot of criticism because he did almost exclusively defense work. But like I said, he was always willing to defend care when it met the standard of care. On the flip side, when it didn't meet the standard of care, he was always there to try to settle cases for the benefit of everyone. He had this innate ability with the jury. He could connect with the jury. I've got to think this is from his small town upbringing, being a people person, be able to connect. They would ask him a question, he would turn to the jury, and the jury would respond to that interaction. I got to see him a couple of times live in court, and it was literally a thing of beauty. On this one occasion, the plaintiff lawyer asked him a question, and just the time he thought he was backed in a corner, he had this ability to say, "I'm glad you brought that up," and then he would turn to the jury for the next 15 minutes, talk about basically whatever he wanted to talk about. And on this one occasion, he did that, and the plaintiff lawyer stood up and objected. And the judge told the plaintiff lawyer, he said, "This witness obviously loves to talk. You don't like his answers to the question. My suggestion to you is to sit down and quit asking him questions." On another occasion, this was a really bad case where he defended a case where the allegation was that there was a bowel perforation that was occurred at the time of cesarean delivery. Patient got sick post-operatively, got an exploratory laparotomy, colostomy. A really bad case, but certainly no malpractice. And Dr. Morrison was given the defense side of things on direct examination that we thought that this was most likely a ripple case of endomyometritis and was not due to a bowel perforation, and there was no feces there as described in the operative note by the surgeon who took care of this. The plaintiff lawyer saw his chance to get Dr. Morrison. So he stood up and he said, "Are you telling me that Dr. Smith, a surgeon, a well-respected, well-trained, experienced surgeon who's seen it all, a surgeon who's a pillar of the community, cannot tell the difference between infection and feces?" Dr. Morrison paused. He said, "Well, I can tell you he was a surgeon." That was all that needed to be said. The case was won at that point. Oftentimes, the plaintiff lawyer would be better off having just gone up, "Thank you, Dr. Morrison, for being there. I have no question," and going back and sitting down. The teacher. Dr. Morrison was a great teacher. He loved to teach. He loved his residents. He was always there for us. He gave us a lot of autonomy. Despite the fact of that autonomy, anytime we got to the brink of messing up, he was always there to kind of pull us back from that brink. He was always supportive. He was always willing to celebrate successes and victories. He was always there for us when we messed up. There was never any public admonitions. It was always, private, supportive, corrective in his action, and somebody that we all love to work with. Now, Dr. Morrison could be a little bit loose with the facts at times. He could embellish things a bit. Some years later when he told you he saw 50 of something, you learned that there's only 25 of those reported worldwide, and made you scratch your head a little bit. But his method, his way of doing things was to exude that confidence, to portray that confidence and make you confident in the things that we did. And certainly we all appreciate his ability to teach. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about the Weiser legacy. You saw from the scroll earlier that Dr. Weiser is one of our Mississippi legends from back in 2015, I think it was. And in this picture there you see Dr. Weiser, his wife Alabelle, Dr. Joe Pryor, his wife Carol Ann there in the middle, and Dr. and Mrs. Morrison on the right. Dr. Weiser came to Mississippi in 1976. He worked with Dr. Morrison at UT Memphis, and it took him 3 years to convince Dr. Morrison to come to Mississippi. Lots of stories about their time in Memphis. One in particular was Dr. Morrison had this empire of ERs that he managed. Back in the day, he had ERs that he got other people to work in. Of course, took a little bit of cut off the top of that, but did quite well in that empire. And one of the stories was that Dr. Weiser called him in and said, John, you need to cut back on some of that. And I asked Dr. Morrison, did you cut back? He said, no, Dr. Weiser was just jealous because I was making more money than he was at the time. So I really didn't change my way of doing things. Probably the most important thing about this legend is his family. Dr. Morrison loved his family, and his family loved him. He loved his children that you see there. He loved his grandchildren. He often said that his grandchildren allowed him to relive his younger days, and more importantly, to be able to see life through the eyes of children and adolescents. Of course, he loved his wife. Rita was his wife for 52 years. They were always together, always part of the UNMC family, and always part of things that Dr. Morrison did. Dr. Morrison left us much too early. He died on September 1st, 2019 from complications related to a motor vehicle accident. He received accolades from all over the state, all over the region, all over the country. He was memorialized at UNMC. He had a standing room only crowd for his funeral. I found it quite ironic that one of the plaintiff lawyers who he regularly jousted with in the courtroom actually sang in the choir at his funeral. And certainly, we miss him. He left a void in his family. He left a void in the community. He left a void in the medical community. But on the right side, you can see just his personality of kind of what he wanted us to remember. From JC, the man who burned twice as bright and lasted much longer than anyone anticipated. I've officially left the building. I want everyone to enjoy high-quality beverages, good food, and a playlist of my favorite tunes before my ashes are scattered at the Grateful Dead Shrine at Ajax Mountain in Aspen and on the beaches of Gulf Shores. Be careful when you walk on the beaches of Gulf Shores. I'm told that half the ashes are there, the other half are still awaiting the shrine of the Grateful Dead. But we certainly miss this gentleman, and like I said, at age 75, he left us much too early. I would like to introduce his family today, left to right there. His son Cody, his grandson Emerson, going on the back row. His son Paul. Paul unfortunately passed away about a year after Dr. Morrison did. Paul passed away in November of 2020. Wife Rita there as we go to the right. Daughter Holiday, granddaughter Day, daughter-in-law Katie, who is the mother of grandchildren Coulter and Abby. And certainly, like I said, of all the things that Dr. Morrison did in his career, I think if he was here today, he would tell us that his family, far and away, was the most important thing in his life and in his career. So once again, it is my great pleasure and privilege to introduce and to induct Dr. John C. Morrison as the 2024 Mississippi Legend.
Cody Morrison. I'm John's son, and I really just wanted to say I'm here with my mother Rita, and let's face it, John wouldn't have been able to accomplish half of what he did without Rita in his life. My sister Holiday, her daughter Day, and my wife Katie. Everybody else couldn't come, but we're so excited to be here. And really, I just want to say on behalf of our family how much we appreciate the fact that John is being honored as a Mississippi legend this year. He was, made some notes, sorry, I'm not the best public speaker, but he was so invested in this community, in his peers, and his passion for being a physician and a researcher was always evident. That passion is reflected in the work that y'all continue to do. His kind and generous nature made him a great teacher, as he was always willing to take the time to exercise his expertise and encourage the next generation. Y'all got to know a little bit about the man. I could give you a lot of other stories, but I think Marty did such a super job that you get a sense of the man, ponytail and wild man and all. He wasn't just work. He loved to travel. He loved to read, especially loved Gulf Shores and Aspen. But ultimately, we've taken enough of your time, and I just want to say that I hope that you get a sense of who John was, and that the legacy might inspire you in some small way in your life and your career. And thank y'all so very much. Special thanks to Marty and Gail, and thank y'all.
And I think that ends our program. The Mississippi section officers and others will stay around just to pick up with the Morrison. Y'all enjoy your evening. What time do we convene this evening?